Well. We are live. This is your boy, the Credit Doctor, Casacello James. This is your Credit Doctor live for our official live credit show. Yay! On YouTube. We are live. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is your boy live on YouTube. Live on YouTube. So it's going to be really good on tonight. So hopefully we get some people that will log in and come on in tonight. So I'm going to be talking about some wonderful topics. This is your boy again, Casacello James. I'm here with our official, tonight is the official launch of the YouTube channel for our credit repair show. Normally I have it in Facebook and some other places, but tonight is official. It is signed, sealed, and approved, baby, on YouTube. So I'm here. I know everybody is just waiting. It's 9:15. So we're going to start. It's just amazing. And it's just going to be just a fun type of show. It's going to be really amazing. So I'm going to go right into it. It's going to be one of those shows that, you know, everybody can really join in. And so it's going to be so interesting. So hopefully everybody will get a chance. I hope everything is coming out right. So y'all bear with me, you know, if we're working out some kinks and inks on tonight. All right, so this is our official live credit show on tonight with our Exceptional Credit Repair LLC. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be informative. And so hopefully everybody will get something out of this particular show. Well, it's 9:15, 9:16 right now. And so our topic tonight is gonna be how do you get rid of charge-offs? How to get rid of charge-offs. So that's gonna be the topic of tonight's show. But before I go into the topic, I wanna make some brief announcements and different things of that nature. So I'm Casacello James. I've been in the business this year, 21 years in the credit and finance industry. So that's enough time to be able to call yourself an expert, analyst, credit doctor, what have you. So it's going to be very informative concerning the information that I give out. So on tonight, what I want to do is really introduce myself to you. I am a stickler about credit. You know, I have excellent credit, not just good credit. I have excellent credit. And I'm really on a mission to try to help as many people as I can. I have, you know, seen horror stories personally, and I've seen horror stories with a lot of my clients. I have clients all over the world, and so it's a really a tragic thing once the system, I'm talking about the legal government system that's in place concerning, you know, the things that happen, you know, concerning your credit. You know, everything is hinging around credit. So if you can't, you know, get anything as far as, you know, credit cards or funding and different things of that nature, you know, it's really horrible. So let me see if I can see some of y'all. Hold on just a minute. So I don't know. Hopefully I can see some of y'all. Oh, I think I'm messing up here. I don't know. I can't see. But nevertheless, we're going to go on with the show. You know, all of this is new to me, so we're going to go on with the show anyway. So nevertheless, it is just horrible. You have to forgive me. I've been burning up all day. But nevertheless, it's just horrible when you can't get funding, when you cannot really actually see, you know, what's going on with your credit, and you got people telling you to do this and telling you to do that, and there are thousands upon thousands of credit models, and what is the clinical name is called algorithm. The algorithm that they derive to get your score and different things of that nature. That particular score model, you know, FICO has 28 different FICO scoring systems, and then you got thousands of different other scoring systems around the country. But I want to talk about charge-offs. So my career has been strictly with credit and credit and finances. So that's what I really want to talk about. Okay, so now I'm seeing some people. Okay, wonderful. So if you are on your quest or your journey and you're trying to get everything removed off your credit and you're trying to get things that's going to be better for you and your family concerning your credit. Credit is the world and the system that we live in now. And credit restoration is simply the removal of any negative item that is very aggressive, negative on your credit. So you want those negative items gone, and you want to be able to put on positive credit. So therefore, this show tonight is going to help you with any credit situations that you need. Quite frankly, I like to open a dialogue where you can come in and you can ask your questions and different things of that nature. So I'm going to get into it tonight, and I'll go over some of the other things that I have going on after the show. Okay? So, nevertheless, tonight's show is going to be about charge-offs. Charge-offs are simply, there are the debts that creditors have given up on. Charge-off is when the debt, the creditor has given up on that particular debt because you have missed several months of payments. So that's all charge-offs are. If you have anything that says charge-off, it's going to be that the creditor, the lender, whatever you want to call them, have given up and they decided to not actually, keep coming after you because they've already did what they had to do concerning the debt. So what they're doing now is they're trying to make sure that they get their money, simply putting it. And so what they do is they just charge it off. They have things in place and they have, their insurance, their coverage, and so when you deal with those particular lenders, they're going to look at it and they're definitely going to, see what's going on. And so at the end of the day, they hopefully with those particular charge-offs, you're looking at people, that, whatever situation has happened, they've gone through some series of events, but the lender has decided, hey, I can't get the money, so we're going to write it off. The powers that be are going to take care of those debts, and then what we're going to do is turn around to sell it to a third party, which is the collection agencies. So charge-offs are the particular debts that have not been paid or the debt that's unpaid because they still have to prove that the debt is yours. So it's a debt that has not been paid or unpaid, by the particular consumer that they have done business with or say, quote unquote, that they've done business with. So they charge it off. The debt has now been zeroed out. If the debt has been zeroed out or with a balance, because sometimes they'll have it and they'll charge it off. When you see something on your credit report that says it's been written off, that's the same thing. They kind of use different, it's still somewhat the same wording. So if it's been written off or if it's been transferred to another agency or another company, that means that debt has already been zeroed out. Now, here's your legal ramification. You have to make sure that they have reported it correctly, because if it is zeroed out and the debt has been paid by the original lender, they have to make sure that they keep accurate records as well. So it's not that they can just do anything to you. You have to make sure that your credit report is reporting things correctly as well. So on your credit report, it should say zero or it should say with a balance. I've seen a lot of clients that sometimes the account is not even theirs. I've seen that there's discrepancies in the account. So there are all kinds of legal ways that you have legal rights that you can refute that debt, you can dispute that debt, anything that's on your credit report that you're unsure of, that you believe that is not accurate, 100% accurate. I'm not talking about frivolous cases, because the credit bureau tries to use that as a scapegoat and a stall tactic, to be able to, get you to drop your claim or to get you to drop your particular debt. So at the end of the day, you must understand that for a lot of lenders and creditors, they are just trying to get their money. So for me, when it comes down to the creditors and the lenders, you can't really trust them because they are really out to make money. So when you're dealing with charge-offs, the charge-offs are gonna be, the items that, was not made good on. So they'll really aggressively, either come after you or they'll try to sell it. So now we know what a charge-off is. So at the end of the day, what you want to realize that when you're dealing with a charge-off, that can sit on your credit. With some states, is 6 to 7 years. That's the legal limited, statute of limitations is what I'm trying to say. So the statute of limitations is normally 6 to 7 years. So what you have to do is make sure, first of all, that that debt is accurate, that that debt is valid. That's the first thing. Second of all, you need to get in contact with somebody like me that's very efficient and very affordable, of course, but somebody that's very aggressive with removing any type of negative item on your credit. You have the right, I can tell you that 100%. You have the right to dispute anything that's negative on your credit and something that is very aggressive on your credit and something that is not right on your credit. You have that right. And if anybody tells you any otherwise, then that's simply not true. You have to make sure that when you're dealing with items that are negative or items, when people talk about items, that are on their credit, and sometimes people come in and they just want to keep it on your credit because a lot of those lenders, and I'm just going to be frank and honest with you, a lot of those lenders, they could care less about you. They don't care about your mama passing away. They don't care about you losing your job, and there are debt validations. There are all kinds of things that can be done on your behalf, but just like they're calling you to the carpet, you want to call them to the carpet. You want to make sure that that contract was signed by you. You want to make sure that that was the original amount that you agreed to, not just because your car got repossessed and you turned it in, but they have a different type of wording on that particular account, or if you are a co-signer and you're still on the original loan, so the person that's the primary and you the co, both of you all, they done socked it to both of you credit. And so at the end of the day, you want to fight for your credit because this is the industry and the world and the time that we live in. So charge-offs are just the negative items that they could not get the fulfillment of the payment, that was due on that item that supposedly, quote unquote, belongs to you. So charge-offs are very aggressive. Charge-offs are very frustrating because they will linger on your credit for many, many, many years. They will linger on your credit. And I go as far as to say, I'm not talking about stuff that I perceive or things that I think I've heard about. I'm telling you, just because the statute of limitations are 7 years in a lot of states or 6 years, there are things that still just automatically do not drop off. All right. So what's up, Tamika Bowden? All right, wonderful. So at the end of the day, you have to be careful when it comes down to a lot of people when they say that, hey, things just automatically fall off. That's not true all the time. You got to be careful. You got to make good on, what's trying to fight you. And so if it is a charge off and it's on your credit, you got to be very aggressive. That's why credit restoration is legal. What's going on, Johnny? What's going on? I got everybody coming in. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you know what's fighting you or what's coming against you. When you're dealing with charge-offs, they're very aggressive because what the underwriting is going to do, they're going to sit at their desk, they're going to scrutinize your whole credit report, and they're looking, especially if they don't want to give you the personal loan, the car loan, the mortgage, anything that's negative that they can use to try to give you the answer as far as no, they're going to do that. So when you're dealing with charge-off, there's a lot of people, you can try to act like that's not true. All you want, there's a lot of people that are dealing with charge-offs. There's a lot of people that are dealing with negative items, whether it's a late payment, whether it's a charge-off on Facebook, or my shows on Facebook that I do. A lot of times what happens is I always tell people about their balances and late payments. And so this is very synonymous when it comes down to how to build up your credit. So many people always ask me, well, how do I get my credit to a place where, I can get funding, I can get credit cards, I can get a low interest rate, I can buy my house. So this is how we need to get all those negative charge-offs off. All the charge-offs, I don't care if it's with enhanced recovery finance, whatever those portfolio recovery, some of these names that I've seen over the years that I've had to work on clients' behalf. All of these companies, they're considered third parties, and so a lot of times some of them are very, very, very aggressive when it comes to the debt has already been sold by the lender, so it doesn't belong anymore to the lender, and they've sold it to the third party. So with these particular charges off, if it's zero, it looks a little bit better, but it's still bad. I'm telling you for a fact. Even though it's zeroed out, it will still be a derogatory category. It will still be listed up under something that is not good. So you want to be careful. You want to make sure that you have the position that, hey, it's going to be better for me. I'm going to do all my research. I'm going to make sure that I seek out those companies, that are going to be beneficial to me. Even if it's not my company, of course, I want you to sign with me. It's a fair price. It's $175 for 5 months. That's a one-time fee. I don't do any monthly fees. Once upon a time I did, but I don't do that anymore. Most people are a little bit more efficient and they can flow a little bit better when they get it in the way and out the way. So it's a one-time fee of $175. So with those charge-offs, once you get your credit report and you see those particular charge-offs, then hey, you want to make a note. So and that's what I do. I make sure that I go into a very, very aggressive, intense detail when it comes down to all of the things that I want to charge off. So let me read you this. It says the creditor may have sold your account to a third-party collection agency if the debt was unsecured. In that case, the account could also appear as an account in collections, all right, or on your credit report. So that means the wording of the account is very significant. That means how they list those particular accounts on your credit report is very, very important. And most people just believe like, okay, well, it's zero, or the bankruptcy I'm going to be going back and forth with some examples. If the bankruptcy has been discharged, yeah, okay, I understand that. But at the end of the day, it is still listed as negative. Bankruptcy is just a way for you to not have to pay the debt that was already made, or the debt that you once had, or whatever the case may be. What's going on? What's going on? Hello to everybody that's joining me. So at the end of the day, you have to be very careful, because a lot of people do not realize that, and you all can ask me any questions too if you want to. A lot of people do not realize that they do scrutinize your credit report. They look at exactly what's on your credit report. They look at exactly, what your accounts that you have. They can see exactly what you can see. So it's wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Your pastor's here. What's up, Pastor? All right. Let me see. What is this? Apostle Massey. All right. What's up, my man? What's going on? Praise him. Praise him. All right. Listen, so you got to understand that whenever you deal with debt collectors, and you deal with charge-offs, and you deal with people, that are aggressively coming after you, you have to be wise. You have to be very strategic. What's going on? Massey. All right. You have to be very strategic. That's why you need somebody that's very efficient, such as myself, that know how to navigate through the cesspool or that type of system. The system is very, very, I believe, this is just me, I believe that the system has already had some flaws, and they've already improved themselves to come out the winner. The creditor wants to make sure that they make money. The lender wants to make sure that they make money. So when you're dealing with charge-offs, all of those are listed under negative categories, whether it's collections, whether it's have been transferred. When you see transferred to another office, all of those are negative connotations. So you have to be very careful. You got to be very mindful that the companies that you do business with, or if the account simply is not yours, you have every right to dispute it. Now, when you come to me and you sign up for my credit restoration program, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to review, and I'm going to examine, I'm going to analyze. That's what an analyst is. They analyze, they study, and they give you the best possible outcome for what you have going on. Whatever situation is going on with your credit report, that's what I do. So at the end of the day, I'm going to analyze, I'm going to make sure that I also look at the positive and I'm going to look at the negative, because of course, when you take off the negative, you want to build, something that is very stable and something that's going to help your credit profile, because most people are just caught up on the 3-digit score. That's not how it works. A lender, underwriting is always going to look at your history, the length of your history, which is called your credit age. They're going to look at your payment history. That is 35% out of that 100% of your credit. So you got to make sure that, number one, you do pay your bills on time. You have to make sure that the debt is yours. You have to be very mindful of, you need to check your credit on a regular basis. I check, especially on Credit Karma, which is free. That is called a permissible purpose. That is a soft inquiry. So with that, it updates every 7 days. So if you did not know that, Credit Karma does update every 7 days. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very mindful when it comes down to things of that nature. So if you have any charge-offs, they can be removed. Those are the debts that the lender says, hey, well, we can't come after them because, that debt, they never paid the debt, or the debt was just outstanding. And normally that debt, after several months or years, because it can linger, then they just, zero it out with the powers that be, and they sell it, make a little bit more money, and it's out of their hands. But that still doesn't mean that debt was yours. That still doesn't mean that the amount is accurate. So you have to hold them accountable as well. So that's what it means when it comes down to charge-offs, when you see charge-offs on your account, because most people, when they see it, they just think it's under the same heading, wholeheartedly as a late payment. Yeah, it might be negative, but you have certain things that's a little bit more aggressive as far as negative than others. So when you deal with charge-off, just the late payment, the account still might be open, or it could be a closed account. And the collection agency, which now owns it, they feel like it's closed, but what they're still reporting is, hey, the arrangement that you made with them that you shouldn't have made with them unless you get a letter of deletion. If you don't, I'm telling you right now, with any collection agency, if you don't get a letter of deletion, you will be screwed. You're going to be screwed. They're not going to make good on it, because the law gives them a window to be able to get out of it, because legally they don't have to. But if you pay that debt, good business is if you pay that debt in full, whether it's $300 or $3,000, before you pay one dime, you need to make sure that you made some type of arrangement with that particular collection agency. That is the only way that I tell anybody that I would advise you. You hear it from the credit doctor, that I would advise you to pay any type of collection. Because at the end of the day, if you pay it and you don't have anything that's legal, to hold them accountable and to the carpet, then they're going to get out of it. Because at the end of the day, they got their money. They can never contact you again, or they're finished with you and they're going to go on to the next person. A lot back in the day, they used to call your job, they would harass you, they would do fake letterheads as if there was attorneys and different things of that nature. Well, all of that has been stamped out, and the law has significantly changed in 2017, and it significantly changed in 2019. So you want to make sure that whatever you do is the best possible outcome. A charge-off, I'm telling you right now, is not good, but it can be removed. So if you say, well, I got several charge-offs, or I have 3 charge-offs, that's why you want to hire, the credit doctor, Mr. Costello James. And then I'm going to take care of all of that. That means the only thing that you got to do is maybe that 1 or 2% or 5%, paying your bills on time, monitor your balances and your credit line, because a lot of people are messing up with that. Because even if you have the charge-off on your credit and you continue to pay your bills on time, it is possible to still keep trying to raise your score. Sure, it might not be 760 or 780 or 800, but at least you will get out of the 500 range, because at least you're paying your bills on time. There are things that you can do right now to offset the charge-off. So if you have a charge-off and you say, well, I don't have the $175 right now, I still have the $99 do-it-yourself program. That particular program is where you get a bona fide, certified deletion letter that I've used many, many times. And actually, I'll send you that information. I'll send you the actual certified receipts that I use when I mail out everything to the post office. You'll get that. You know, and you'll get all three. I already got the envelopes. Everything is step by step. It shows you exactly what to do. It is one of the many of, I want to say, thousands of precedents, legal precedents that I use to be able to get all of these things that are negative off your credit. It is the legal language of the law. It is the law that backs up the lender. So it is the law that I use to get any negative item off your credit. All right. So at the end of the day, just don't settle because people tell you, oh, well, it's on your credit and it's going to sit up there for 7 years. That's foolishness, all right? So hook up with people that will empower you, give you the best knowledge you can. Don't hook up with anybody. You know, it's almost like the blind leading the blind. You know, I tend to gravitate to people that have what I have or more than what I have. That makes me keep reaching. It makes them keep growing. You want people that's going to help you grow. There are too many people that are settling. They make peace with bad credit. They make peace with the charge-off. And they say, well, hey, shoot, I don't care. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's just charged off. The car got repossessed or whatever, you know. But it still will hurt you when you get ready to buy a new car. And let me say this. You can buy a brand new Lexus tonight. You can buy a brand new car tonight if you have $5,000 or $10,000. A lot of people are not able to do that, but even with bad credit, everything on your credit report can be bad. It can be so bad you can't even get a free glass of water, baby. So at the end of the day, the reason why you can still buy a car with bad credit, because at the end of the day, they're about making money. Hey, the dealership is going to make sure the deal is passable, goes through. Then they hand it over to some type of finance company that's going to charge you an outstanding, ridiculous high interest rate. So at the end of the day, if you got 5 or 10,000, sure, you can get a car. I've never said to anybody that you can't get a car. The problem is the interest rate. The problem is when you buy a house is the interest rate and the mortgage. I don't want to personally pay a mortgage for $5,000 or $6,000. I'm just not going to do that. And I'm certainly not trying to rent an apartment for no $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. Now, more power to all of you that want to do that. But I got other things going on with my money than have to rent an apartment for $7,000 or $6,000 or $5,000. That's on you. When you know better, what's going on, Lisa Williams? So at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you do better, because the lenders are always going to try to find something to be able to keep those items on your credit, to be able to keep it on your credit, to be able to say to you that, yes, this debt is valid, it belongs to you. But you have to have somebody that's fighting in your corner. You know, if you have a business, because I do business credit as well as personal credit, but tonight's topic is about charge-offs. Charge-offs, and so if you have that on your credit, it can be rectified. You can resolve those charge-offs. They're simply the debts that has not been paid, or they're unpaid debts that the original lender feels like, hey, I've been trying to come after them. I can't get that money from them. So at the end of the day, because many people ask me, well, what is a charge-off? All right. Hey, you keep me motivated. Wonderful. You know I do. You know I do. All right. So motivation is about what the show is about. Is because I want you to be informed. Because a lot of people feel like, well, I've seen it and I hear it sometimes, you know, they say, well, hey, well, I can, you know, you can do it yourself and you can come up with your own strategy or your own letter, you know, and you might write to the credit bureau and they say, you know, some lady told me one time she was being very indignant. You know, I had to get her. And so she was being very smart at it. She said, well, I wrote the credit bureau and they took off a couple of things. I said, well, okay, well, you might have slipped through the cracks and you might have, you know, got some success on this, that, and the other, you know, and so and it's no such thing as I got a little bit of things on my credit that's negative. One charge off can mess up your whole credit profile. You can have, especially on Equifax. Equifax, oh my God, you know, at the end of the day, that particular devil, I'm telling you right now, they are very aggressively and they make money. This is about money, people. Money. It's about money. You got to make sure that you know what you're dealing with, because at the end of the day, these particular collection agencies, these lenders, when all of this stuff hits your credit, they're not putting that on it, you know, for free. You know, the powers that be, the big three, which is TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. All of them are making money. They're making money. So at the end of the day, you want to be very careful about how you handle your affairs, your credit report, what is being placed on your credit report. This item that needs to be corrected, because even if the account is open, watch this. If they say it's open and it has been charged off, that's illegal. Because normally, if it's charged off, transferred to another company, then that means the original creditor cannot report it that it's open. And it has to be the last payment date that they say that you was late on or derogatory on. They can't keep reporting it open knowing that the account is no longer theirs. All right? So you will have some legal ramifications. But what I do as the credit doctor and the credit analyst and the credit destroyer, what I do is I analyze, and I say, okay, well, this particular law can work for this. And so the law, you just deal with people that are not a rookie or a novice. I'm not a rookie or a novice with this. And, I hear people with general information trying to do massive things. And they overpromise and underdeliver, and that's terrible. And so sometimes I've been to credit seminars and I've just had to leave because one particular person that was on the panel, he kept saying that if you close an account, close it for this reason. Close it because you don't like customer service. Close it because you didn't like the interest rate or whatever the case may be. But what he also should have told them, that if you close it, you are subject to lose 15 points, 20 points, 30 points. Just because you close the account, and even if you paid, I remember years ago, and I'm getting wound up now. So I remember years ago when I closed this account, I paid over $45,000 for this car. Everybody knows me, I always keep me a nice ride. So at the end of the day, I paid it off. I said, I can't wait to make the last payment, and man, it's going to hit my credit, and it's going to boost it. And then when I saw it went up 2 points, I was just devastated. And I was like, what? And it's because that account had already been settled. It was closed. Now, I was getting a lot of points while it was open, and I had a low balance. But when it closed, I lost some points. So at the end of the day, you have to know this strategy. Things have changed. They have calculated these algorithm, the scoring. That's all an algorithm is, as I said earlier. It's a scoring system. That algorithm is a scoring system. So the scoring system is going to calculate whether it's open or closed. If that charge off is open or closed, it's still going to calculate, all of that into your particular score. That's how they derive with that particular 3-digit number. You got 35% is payment history. 15% is the length of credit, which is called your credit age. And then you got 10% is the mixed account. So you can't have all credit cards. You can't have all personal loans. You have to have a mixture of accounts. And so then the last 10% is going to be your inquiry. So you got 35, 30, okay? And so you got 35 is your payment history, and then I forgot the 30. The 30 is the utilization. It's going to be your utilization and your balances. And so what that means is it's going to be if you was given a credit limit of $1,000 and you've used $500 of that $1,000, then that means you're 50% of your credit utilization. So you got 35% is your payment history. The 30% is your credit utilization. Your 15% is your credit age. And then you got 10-10, which is your 10 is your mixed accounts. And then the other 10 is going to be exactly what most people are familiar with is the inquiries, as I call them. So you got to be very careful. You want to know, about what's on your credit report. And I've just recently had a lot of people talking about charge-off. So what is it? They charge it off. So what is that system? They've already done that system. They've transferred it to a third party. And now they're trying to come after you as well. And I've seen some companies where the original lender is still, after it's been charged off, after the debt has been settled, I've still seen the original lender still try to call you because your number, that's why I don't like to do that. The number is still on that automatic system, that automatic system that calls you and say, hey, you still owe us $567 or what have you. I've seen people after they file for bankruptcy that the original lender and the debt has already been settled. So, it's been paid. You got to realize that all of these things just don't fall off all the time. Some things I've seen fall off on the credit report. I will say that. But there's a lot of things and a lot of years that I've seen people still have on their credit report. So you have to be very careful when it comes down to, you know, your debt, and it comes down to your accounts. So here's the thing. So if you do have a charge off, this is what will help you trying to get rid of some of the charge offs. Some people don't like to remove all those other addresses, but I'm telling you, as a credit analyst and a credit doctor, sometimes it'll flag it, whether it's a fraud alert or fraud flag. Some people like them. I personally don't like those because I don't like to have to go through a bunch of changes. You know, I know identity theft does exist, but not to the magnitude that some people say it does, because, you know, quite frankly, 2 plus 2 is 4. I don't believe too many people are trying to steal somebody's credit and it's bad. Nobody robs an empty house. Nobody robs a bag lady. She don't have anything unless it's somebody on her level. But for the most part, when you're trying to do something like that, you know, it's somebody that's got something. So at the end of the day, you know, I don't get into all of that because I think it makes Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion a lot of money when they have those security freezes and you sign up for this program for $39.99. They're making so much money. Can you imagine if 10 people sign up or thousands of people sign up for those programs just a day? They have made so much money. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to the charge-offs, you want to make sure that you get those negative items off. I can dispute them. I'll go over. I'll talk to you. If it is yours and you still believe that, hey, they overcharged me, you know, I didn't miss a payment when they said I missed a payment, you know, this happened and I tried to tell them, I told them to come pick up the car, but they didn't pick it up to 8 months later. Well, that's their fault. You had already told them the first month, come get the car, and they still let it. So that was over 7 other payments, you know, that they let roll into that. So there are different legal ways, and there are different ways that we can attack that particular charge off, and we can attack, you know, what is negative on your credit. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? You can also ask me about late payments because it kind of ties in to what I'm talking about tonight. We are live on YouTube, baby. I'm so excited about it. You know, I'm still trying to get all this stuff together. They're trying to help me, and you know, it's an amazing thing. You know, so. Anybody, you have any questions concerning, you know, anything, you know, concerning charge-offs or late payments or anything that you don't understand concerning your credit report? What happens to a lot of people is when you deal with charge-offs or you deal with late payments, you know, you said, well, that happened way in 2012, but you're still paying a price right now in 2019. You do not want to be subject to those things that's going to keep aggravating your credit report, keep getting you denied. Even if you do the pre-qualified offers, you keep getting denied. Even Capital One, that normally gives you a chance if your score, I've seen people score like at 580 or 590, or even I've seen some people, you know, right at 580, and they still give them, whether it's a secured card or whether it's a regular card, you know, an unsecured card, you know, for $200, you take that, you run with it, build on that, and you know, it gets, you know, it gets you to the place that you need to be. Have a serious question about school loans. Okay, that's fine. You can ask me also school loans, so we'll tie that in as well. Thank you for the information. We will be talking on tomorrow. All right, Mr. Wynn, thank you so much. So at the end of the day, if anybody have any questions concerning charge-offs, anything of that nature, I'm certainly open to your questions right now, because a lot of people, believe it or not, you know, when they see those charge-offs and then they see the collections, they're kind of in the same little category there. It is just a negative type of experience when it comes down to the charge-offs. You don't want to be in that particular group. And so, watch this, let me read this. But your scores will mostly likely suffer in the future if the accounts are final. If they're finally listed as a charge-off because of the derogatory mark. All right, so if it is a derogatory mark, you know, it is always going to be a kind of thorn in your flesh because you have not got that charge-off off. And so what I do with the 175, that one flat fee, I simply go through everything that's bad on your credit, like I said earlier, and then that's what I aggressively attack. And you can do that also with the $99 special. Maybe you said, hey, I just don't have the $175 right now, but I want to do the $99 and take a stab at it at myself. That's fine. And also with that $99 special, what I do, if you call me, you at least get 1 day you can call me and I'll answer any questions that you need. Maybe you need, you didn't understand this and you didn't understand that. I will certainly answer your questions. I do that. Okay. So anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Mommy wants to know about student loans. Okay, cool beans. Now, student loans, here's the biggest thing, which is good. That's a big problem also. So at the end of the day, with a student loan, if you have a consolidation, that's a good thing. The thing for me with student loans, you first need to know what the original amount is. And you need to know the other thing is find out whether or not it's unsubsidized or subsidized. So if the student loan is subsidized, or if it's subsidized, normally that means it's a discounted rate that they gave you with your interest rate. So that means normally if it's 6.7 or if it's 6.3 or something of that nature, if they give you a subsidized loan, then what happens is they're going to give you a lower rate. Maybe it's going to be 4.5 or it's going to be 3.4 or whatever. But you need to find out which student loans are subsidized. So you call that particular number that your student loans are with. Call the government. It's going to normally say FED or NAPA or whatever the case may be. Call them and say, listen, I need to know about I don't care if you have 25. I don't care if you have 100 student loans. You call them intelligently like you will do, and you ask them about, hey, are these loans subsidized or they're unsubsidized? What is, the system with, that's going on with the loans? And if they tell you, well, you don't have to pay it back until 2024, sure, you got time, but just know that the interest rate is accruing, on those loans, whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized. So subsidized is the discounted rate. Unsubsidized is said, well, okay, now you're getting another master's degree, you're in grad school, we ain't trying to give you those big discounted rates. We're going to give you the regular rates or the standard rate. So and that's when you'll see some of the accounts that you have a student loan that's $10,000 or $3,000 or something of that nature, and then you say, well, my God, why is this one a little bit more than the other one? It's because it could be a difference between whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized. Now, moving on. So if you already been to school, you done graduated and all of that, and you still have the loans in deferment, but they're showing, it'll say green on your credit report, and you don't have to really make a monthly payment right now, you need to still get that under your belt, because at some point you do have to pay that loan back. So you want to get your interest rate as low as you can. I do know this. If you're in the military, if you're disability. Now, if you're disability or any of the people that's disability, it will wipe that debt out, baby. It'll take it out. To be more careful. It'll take it out. It'll take it out so quick. Now, I ain't telling you to go get no disability check. But it will take it out. So if you are a lot of teachers with the schools and different other, so there are ways. And I talked about that on Facebook, on my show on Facebook. I talked about, whether or not you are trying to get an income-based rate when it comes down to student loans, because there are all kinds of programs. So I would check with the original lender of that student loan first to see if anything can be done. If not, then I have a roster of plenty of companies that will consolidate those loans. I do know credit unions are some of the best, which is Navy Federal. I've seen PenFed. I've seen some other credit unions that will give you a good discounted rate. And let me say this, speaking of credit unions, if you don't have a great credit union that you got great history with, you need to get one tomorrow. And I say that all the time on my shows. You need to get a credit union because credit unions have a smaller rate than some of those banks and some of the big players. All right? So that's the first thing. All right, I want to know about removing a discharge chapter 7. Okay, cool beans. Now, if you have a discharge chapter 7, the first thing, that's good that it's been discharged. So now they can't never come after you. It's already been settled. It's already been discharged. Here's the thing. Bankruptcy, whether it's chapter 7, chapter 12, or chapter 13, it's not an overnight success. So it can be removed, because a lot of times, and this is just from my particular years in business, even with bankruptcies, I've seen certain items that were supposed to be included in the bankruptcy was not listed, and then some of the lenders are still aggressively trying to backdoor come after you, or they've already been sold to the third party, which is the collection agency, and they're still trying to come after you. So there's a lot of legal ways that I go about trying to have it removed. But in order to get that off the credit report, it has to be disputed and it has to be with legal terminology. So to simply answer your question, it has to be disputed. It has to be some legal type of precedence because it was a legal situation that did happen. Now, I've had situations where people said I did file for bankruptcy and it appeared on their credit report. So then we'll track it down, what state it was in, etc., etc. But legally, it has to be disputed and it can come off. I hope I answered your question. All right. So chapter 7 is just like chapter 13. It's almost somewhat the same process that you do for any type of bankruptcy when I get ready to remove it. But sure, I tweak it a little bit concerning, what the experience was on your bankruptcy, when it was filed, whether it was filed in chapter 10, whether it was filed in 2010 or 2011 or 2005 or what have you. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Massey. So at the end of the day, the chapter 7, sometimes when you deal with chapter 7s, they can be very aggressive. And see, some chapter 7s, many chapter 7s, I know the people don't have to pay it back. And you, especially, and sometimes it might be based with a low income. And that doesn't mean that $50,000 is a low income or $40,000 is a low income. That's just the powers that be sometimes try to put it in that bracket. But the lower your income with a chapter 7, a lot of that you don't have to pay back. But you want to be very careful when it comes down to bankruptcy. Now, speaking of bankruptcy, and I know we was talking about the charge-offs. So let me give you this number, Mr. Massey. I want to give you something really quick. This is called LexisNexis, which is based here in Atlanta. LexisNexis, I want all you all to get this. LexisNexis, normally that's where your bankruptcy is. If it's not with a company called Pacer, normally it's with LexisNexis. I know I'm talking good. So at the end of the day, you want to call this number and freeze that account. Because certainly the frustration that you might feel with bankruptcy, chapter 13, chapter 7, chapter 11, chapter 12, the frustration that you're going to feel is because they're checking these with the big three, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. So the number to direct, I got you tonight, I got you. The number that you need to call is 1-888-497-0011. That number is 1-888-497-0011. I'm going to say it one more time. The number, if you have a bankruptcy, I don't care who you are, if around the country, you need to make sure that if you are in credit restoration, that you freeze that report, all right? Or you can dispute it, either one, whatever your choice is. It's 1-888-497-0011. All right, that is the number to LexisNexis. You can talk to a live person. Wasn't that wonderful? You can talk to a live person. They can help you. They will go over with you the different information that's on your public record, because normally the bankruptcy is going to be on your public record. All right, so make sure if anything, and you might get surprised because there might be some other stuff up there as well. So, but you can freeze it or dispute it the same way that I'm going to do with the big three. Now, let's see. I co-signed for the girls for college, but now I may be deemed as disabled. Okay, can I be still held accountable? Not after you have been, after the ink is dried on that paper and it says disabled, all bets are off. And so at the end of the day, you can go back and send that back in, Tamika. You can go back and send it in and let them know this is what's going on currently right now, and they will remodify that whole debt. So absolutely, if that happens, that's going to be your ticket out, or it's going to actually help you and eliminate that particular debt as far as the cosign. And so, that's pretty good. So if you do have, whether they was in school or whatever the case may be, if that happens, then I will pursue in that particular method. All right? Yeah, absolutely. Disabled is disabled. Whether it was yesterday, today, or whenever the case may be, it will wipe that debt out. I promise you. Anybody else have a good question? Y'all coming up with some good ones tonight. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, bankruptcy. We got to get the bankruptcies on file because and that piggybacks to what I'm talking about. How to remove the charge off. It has to be disputed. You have to verify your credit report. You have to identify whether or not it's really yours. Make sure the debt is valid. Make sure that the card that they said, hey, I charged it off and all of that. Now, you know, on YouTube, I can't say certain things that I can say on Facebook, but if they push me, I will, you know. Let's go. Yes, Lord. Yes, you can. Disability, which is sanctioned by the federal government and the government. So, you know, the government, the powers that be, that will help you in a lot of areas, you know. And it is what it is, you know. As I said earlier, I don't trust a lot of lenders. I don't trust a lot of companies. Do you have credit cards? Yes. Do you have positive accounts? Yes. You know, so you have to make sure, because I've been in business for 31 years. I've been in business for 31 years. I've been in business a long time. So at the end of the day, even when I do business credit, you know, you have to stay on top of those lenders because you want to get credit for everything that you do. You want to make sure that you are really getting the best benefit out of doing business with them. And you don't want a company that's going to scrutinize you and punish you because, you know, you had some hard times. You know, but, you know, with the student loans and the bankruptcies, you know, I'm not a fan of bankruptcies. I understand some people have to do what they got to do, but immediately, you know, I always tell people, and I was telling some folks today, that even though you file for bankruptcy, it's almost like the long way around, because after a couple of years or the first year or 6 years later, you still going to have to come back to me so I can dispute that stuff. I've seen people, you know, I had a client in California, one of his bankruptcy came off on a couple of situations, on a couple of his bureaus, and then we're still trying to get it off on the other one. So sometimes it'll happen like that. But coming off is coming off. Don't get impatient. And I'm going to say this since we live on YouTube, because I say it all the time on Facebook, on my show there. You got to have some time. If you don't have time and you want it overnight, it will never happen. You got to have time. You need at least a year. I used to say 6 months to a year, but you need at least a year. Sure, you're gonna see significant improvements before that year is out. That's why you get the 175 for 5 months. There are people in the room right now that's watching this show, that's in here right now, that can tell you, I am the man, I'm the bomb, I'm the whatever you can. You talking to the plug now. You talking to the plug. My God, so got me saying that crap. So at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you get with somebody or a company that is very efficient, that know what they're talking about. You got to know what you got to do, because people are trying to buy their homes. They're trying to buy, you know, cars. And listen, and you got to change your mind. Let me spend a minute on this. There was a thought I had, you know, and I'm not trying to church you to death or anything of that nature, but there was a thought, and the thought was, I pressed toward a mark. I pressed toward a mark. That simply means, listen, I got a goal in mind. I'm moving forward. I'm driving forward. Any businessman would tell you that. Any businesswoman would tell you that. You have to drive and go forward. You can't stay stuck. You do not want your past to keep messing with your future. You do not want to hinder yourself because you are making a big deal of the 175. And so when people, my mom used to, God rest her soul, she used to tell me, you know, I done cooked the food. I done made it look wonderful. It's on the table. I promise you, I'm not going to beg you to come and eat. You have to come eat. You have to get those things fixed. It's not just going to go away. Or who has 7 years to just wait if the charge off going to fall off? Who has 7 years or 10 years to wait until the bankruptcy fall off? So you're going to put your life on hold. Think about it. Put your life on hold for 7 years or 10. No, sir, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, because at the end of the day, I got stuff to do. I don't want, you know, because I don't care what happened. Life happens. I don't care if you did. If you charged up every last one of the credit cards, you blew it, you knew you shouldn't have been shopping, because the first thing it's hard to get people to do is admit that you have messed up you. You have messed yourself up. You have tore yourself up because you out there with Beyonce's concert. You out there with Keith Sweat. You out there with the OJs for you and the old schools and the Whispers or whatever. I don't even know if they still doing it. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do so you can have a better future. You got to make some investments in your life, because you need a great big win, and in order to get that, you got to make some investments. If you don't, it's just going to be your downfall. And because I'm going to tell you right now, you keep meeting these people talking about, I'm going out on a date, and that jive turkey, that Negro is broke. He broke. You got to be careful. You don't want to deal with people that's broke. There's some broke women too, not just the men. You know, I'm so sick of that too. So you deal with people, you know, you want to get together with somebody that's going to come in your life, and it's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be an explosion because you got good credit. I don't hang out with a lot of people that's got bad credit. I promise you I don't. Because then that means I'm going to have to whip out my credit card. We go to Papa Do's, and then I'm going to have to pay for everything. We go to Ruth Chris or whatever the case may be, or even if we just go to KFC, then I got to pay for everything. That's okay for a period of time, but after a while, it's going to start aggravating you. Charge-offs aggressively have to be disputed. You need the legal language. And there's a lot of people, and I know some people on YouTube gonna be like, well, this is what I do. It just makes my skin crawl when they say, I do credit restoration. Okay, well, what do you do? I use the legal ramifications, the nuances of the court in order to get these things off. This is stuff that I've studied for 21 years. I'm not talking about stuff I'm just trying out or stuff that, you know, even the stuff that I have, I even try to find more more extraordinary ways or inventive ways to reimprove, to redo or improve what I am doing. All right, because knowledge is power. Let me see. It's hard as it is to have inquiries removed. Yeah, the inquiries are not easy to have removed, but they can be removed. That's when it comes down to voting. It comes down to that particular time frame. You got to wait it out, because I've seen people get frustrated after the first 30 days. Let me take a sip, because we talking good here. Listen, once you sign up, 30 days is 30 days. It seemed like forever. Look like ain't nothing moving. Look like stuff ain't coming off and this, that, and the other. That's not my rule. So get mad with the government, and I can understand. I don't like it either. But sometimes it doesn't take 30 days. I get clients all the time. You know, they get their results back in 10 days or 15 days. But you got to be in it for the long haul. So inquiries can come off. He gets it done. You better tell him, Johnny. Tell him. You better tell him. That's my man. All right? I'm trying to tell you. It will aggressively come off. The way I do it is my top secret. Now, I can't give you everything. Can't give you everything. All right, but I'm going to give you enough to be able to get it done, you know, because I'm going to handle your affairs. It makes you feel proud. It has you a greater self-worth, because what you're doing, you're hiring somebody just like other races do, just like other people do. People do it all the time. They got CPAs, accountants. They have financial advisors. That's what I am. I'm a credit analyst. I do personal credit as well as business credit. $175 for 5 months is extraordinary, all right? It's amazing. TransUnion, you know, you got TransUnion, Equifax. I had somebody not too long ago, you know, he had a whole lot of inquiries on all 3 of them. And now he's down, he got 9 on one, he's got 2 on the other one, and he's got 3 on the other one. But before, he was like in the 20s and 14. I've had clients that had over 102, you know, inquiries. So you think, you know, some people be complaining about 10 or 13. I'm telling you, I've had people that have they was just out there applying for stuff. And guess what? Even with all those inquiries, some of the stuff he got approved for. See, it's all about what's on your credit report. It's all about that company. It's all about that company and their standards and their process, all right? So, you know, it can't come off. Go ahead, son. Yes. All right, so inquiries can come off. Any other questions, all right? Any other questions? But charge off, we got to remove those charge offs. All right, and I wanted to say, let me see, what's the difference between, written off and charge off, somewhat the same thing, It's just, it's already been written off, it's already been charged off. That means the debt has completely been settled. It's been transferred to another third-party company. They bought the debt, and now, you know, and that don't mean that somebody can't, you know, the collection agency won't try to come after you, because they will. But at the end of the day, you know, they don't get to keep double dipping on your credit report, because it's almost like, okay, you get it off, here it is trying to piggyback, because they'll try, to put it back up there. But at the end of the day, that don't happen on an everyday basis. So some of you stop trying to scare people with that incorrect information. Out of 21 years, I've seen that process happen a couple of times, but not a lot of times. Because once it's off, normally it stay off. And then if it is, you got your proof. You got your paper trail. That's why I like to certify it through the postal system, is because once we certify it through the postal system, that means I got a tracking number. That means I got a receipt from the credit bureau as far as that deletion. It says delete. I got that. I can prove that, hey, it was deleted off my credit profile. Talk about credit profile. Credit profile is actually the sum total of your whole credit report. That means your addresses. And let me tell you all that have over 10, 15, 20 addresses, that needs to be corrected. So a lot of time on my particular letters that I send in, I say also please remove all former addresses, yada, 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 all the stuff that I send in, because normally, I'm telling you personally, I keep my present address up there and maybe a former. But normally, I don't keep all of those old addresses, and I haven't lived here and lived there and lived there either. And I understand people had to do what they had to do, but I've never had over 45 different addresses. And so at the end of the day, your credit profile, from your addresses, your name need to be spelled correctly, not all those AKAs, because when you stand in the department store, you get ready, to apply for credit, then they flag it and it's an alert and all of that. It's a headache. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes I know people be saying, well, I put a fraud alert. Well, that's fine for them. But sometimes if it goes to underwriting, sometimes it's a bad situation, because they're really, really fine tooth comb, and look at your credit report, and then they'll tell you, hey, no, you've been denied because of this, that, and the other, or what have you. So they need to quickly be able to validate. Everything needs to be in sync. So your addresses, your name, your job history, because they don't have a big spot for a lot of job history. You need to be able, even if you're self-employed, make sure you word your title correctly. Don't look at it like, hey, I just make over $2,000 a month, or I'm just doing a whole bunch of stuff under the table. Nobody's going to lend to you. Everything needs to be, nice and professional, and it needs to represent you in the best way. That's excellent. All right, so that's what that credit profile is. So once you get that credit profile together, and then you look at all your accounts, all the open accounts and all the closed accounts. There's some closed accounts that need to be disputed as well. There are some accounts that are on your public record, whether it's a bankruptcy, tax liens, that can help. Oh God. So all of that needs to be addressed. They're going to look at the sum total of your whole credit profile. Okay, and it needs to be, and don't just only, the score is a big part as well, but it's not the only part. So if you are 765, make sure you earn that spot and your credit profile matches. That means you got to have the open account, the years behind it, the different mixture of accounts. You got to make sure that if you do have a mortgage, that you wasn't late 10, 15, 20, 100 times. You got to make sure that everything was really good on the account. You got to, have that account and make sure it's awesome. All right, so that it represents you in the best way. All right, anybody have any other questions? Look like time flies. I'm over my time now. So that was 1 hour. We have an hour show every week. It's really good. Anybody have any other questions? Any other questions? And let them know the special is going to be going on for the whole year of 2019. That's $175 or $99 do it yourself. I'm just like CarMax. I don't have it with that price. Don't call me asking me for no discount, no hookup. I'm not hooking it up. That's a hookup. That was not my original price. I think the servant is worthy of his hire, especially when you deal with somebody elite. Puff Daddy ain't trying to drop his prices with Sean John because he has good quality clothes. They all big. I can't wear them, but they're too big. But they good quality of clothes. Such the same thing with Ralph Lauren, Polo, whatever the case may be. So business is business, and I'm watching out for you. I promise you, I'm going to give back more than what you pay for. I promise you. I'm really big on calling you back. I'm really big. You can you can also go to my website. You that have not went to my website, you can go to www.exceptionalcreditrepairllc. .com. So you go to www.exceptionalcreditrepairllc.com, and you can see the website. It's up as well. The information is there. The phone number is there. The email is there. So you that need a website, I got to check out his website. Just go on up there. Or you can email me. You can email me at ecrepairnow@gmail.com. Or you can catch me on Facebook, EC Repair Now, or at Casacello. All right. So you can find me. I'm very accessible. You can always get up with me. So it's $175, but hopefully you understand a little bit more about charge-offs. They can come off. You have to have that disputed off. It don't just automatically all the time. Not saying that it don't, but sometimes 9 times out of 10 it don't. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure you fight what's fighting you. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? All right. Anybody have any questions? You can ask me anything. Yes. Can late payments come off? Yes. Can charge-offs come off? Yes. Can the inquiries come off? Yes. Do I need to put some authorized users? You better hurry up, because I don't know if they're getting ready to do away with that type of system, or they're just getting ready to, not let them count for so much. But authorized users can help you. And if you pay for it, it's called a trade line. If you get it for free, it's just simply called somebody hooked you up with an authorized user. All right? No faith and power. This guy. No. No. That's an inside joke with me and Tamika. I bet I never see him no more. Yes. So if you do, I'm telling you right now, you got to make sure that you dispute all of those negative items on your credit. And listen, because I do just like you do. Sometimes I look online and I look on YouTube and I see people talking about stuff they absolutely don't have no business talking about, or they talk around the situation. All right, just like I said tonight about charge-off. Charge-off, that's the process, simple and plain, point blank. Once they can't get it, they close that debt. The powers that be, don't think they didn't get paid. They got paid. The powers that be, their particular coverage that they have, their particular insurance or what have has covered that debt. They sell that debt, sell it to the third party. The third party say, well, hey, I might as well get me a little bit out of it. So even if they owe $16,000, if they pay me $5,000, $3,000, I'm still happy. Hey, they might even be foolish enough to pay me $10,000. Never pay a collection. Never admit to anything before you investigate and make sure that that's your debt. Because the minute that you say it's yours on that phone, they have recorded it, document, it will hold up in the court of law. Don't you admit to nothing. Don't you talk to them. That's what you pay me for. I handle all of that for you. Okay. No man don't work, don't eat. Absolutely. You better say it, Moret. You better say it. I know I'm saying that. Marvis, what's going on, man? So at the end, that's South Carolina, one of my clients. At the end of the day, and let me say this, shout out to California, shout out to South Carolina, North Carolina, shout out to Baltimore, shout out to Chicago, shout out to DC, shout out to Virginia, shout out to Alabama down there, Mr. Jesse and them down there in Alabama, shout out to Atlanta, can you believe it? Here in Atlanta, Georgia, woo! Atlanta, you doing all right. And shout out to New Orleans. Oh, Mardi Gras. I know Mardi Gras just left. So at the end of the day, thank you, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, all those other places in New Orleans. Shout out to all of them. And Texas, Lord have mercy. Texas is holding it down for me. So I'm really, really thankful for that. So if you have a question, I'll take it, but I'm going to make my last announcements as well. Now, listen. I got some exciting news. You do not want to miss this. I got some exciting news. I'm getting ready to do in July my credit tour. Texas is the bomb. Yes, Texas is, Johnny's down there too. So Texas is the bomb. They've been watching out. Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, really, really good business for me. But I'm getting ready to come. I'll be in Miami the second week of July. I'll be there. I'm going to be doing some credit seminars and stuff there, and I'm going to be networking down there. I'll be there the second week in July, and then I'm going to be, as Willie Nelson said, on the road. And then I'm going from Florida, Miami, Florida, my home down there. I'm going to be going from Florida all the way to Carolina. I'll be in Raleigh-Durham area, just for I haven't been there in years, but I'll be there, to do some other connections there, some one-on-ones. I do one-on-ones, so I'll have some clients I have to meet there. Also, that's going to be the third week of July. So I'll be there for about 3 or 4 days. I think it is 3 or 4 days. And then I'm going to DC. And so from DC, I'm going to be there 3 or 4 days. And then I'm coming to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'll be there. I have to do a credit seminar there. And then from there, I'm coming back to Atlanta, Georgia. So I will be on the road doing my credit. I told you my credit tour for 2019. So I'm excited about that. That will start in July. Actually, let me tell you the dates, because the dates is gonna be July. I'm already in July. So actually, I will be in Florida the 11th of July. I'll be in the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, and then the 14th. I leave there. I will be in Carolina on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, and then I will actually be in DC the 18th through the 22nd. And then leaving DC, I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina from the 22nd all the way to the 24th. And then I'll be back in Atlanta that last week. All right, so it's going to be amazing. Look at your boy. Look at your credit doctor. You talking to the plug now. All right, now let me tell you something. I know this gonna shock you. It's gonna take you to a different level. I'm getting ready to do. I always wanted to do this because sometimes I like to just sit in my nice little old bed and just do some stuff and work from my laptop and all that good stuff. I'm getting ready. This has never been done, so you're gonna hear more about this. I'm gonna take this to the next level. I'm gonna have a late night credit show. It's going to be out like 12 midnight. I'm going to do it at 12. I'm going to start at 12 midnight. So it's going to be the late night credit show. That's exactly what it's going to be called. It's a late night credit show with Casacello, the credit doctor. So I'm getting ready to start that. I'm going to let you know. I don't have the official date because we're still working on it. But it's going to be the late night credit show, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna be in my pajamas and all of that good stuff, so it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have some special guests, to meet me right there. It's all gonna be fun and all gonna be tasteful, me. So at the end of the day, I'm excited about that. Yes, and I'm coming to Jacksonville, North Carolina. I am gonna swing through that area too, Lisa. So it's going to be the late night credit show. And I also wanted to announce, we still have the $99 do it yourself. Now, if you are trying to get that business off the ground, you don't have your LLC or it's not incorporated, I do business credit. It's one flat fee. It's one flat fee for $800. You get that as well for 6 months. You get that, and normally I try to throw in an extra month, but it's a flat fee of $800. You get your EIN number. You get your website. I make sure you get your website. I make sure that you get your 800 number. I also make sure that you get your business accounts established. All right, so that's going to be really beneficial to you. That's a flat fee of $800. I know some people charge $2,000. I know even Dun & Bradstreet, they have their price, and other people charge whatever. I'm just doing for a flat rate of $800. If you are my clients, you will get a discount because my business particular credit fee was $1,000, but I decided to give everybody a $200 discount, so it's just $800. All right. All right, so it's going to be amazing. So the first announcement, again, is the late night credit show. It's never been done. And people are like, well, who's going to be up that late? Everybody stay up late. Those folks will be walking in Walmart all times of the night. Hey, and if you frustrated, can't pay your bills, and you looking outside, they trying to repossess your car and all that good stuff, you need some help. I don't care if it's at 12 o'clock at night or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the late night credit show. So you that want to be a part of that, just simply let me know. It's going to be amazing. It's called the Late Night Credit Show. If you want to sign up, you can sign up immediately after this show. You can call me at 786-213-1087. That's the number, 786-213-1087. Again, it's just going to be amazing. It's a live show. Of course, we just trying to do what we got to do here on YouTube. Now, my last thing is, you all that have not subscribed, please help your brother out. Go click that button. If you're stopping in or if you know somebody, tell them, hey, go subscribe. You need to see that video and that show that that young man just did. All right? So subscribe. We want to get those subscribers up here on YouTube. And next time we're going to take it to the next level. You know, if I miss something tonight or whatever, you know, we'll work it out next week. All right? I'll be back on YouTube again at 9 o'clock. I'll be back to my regular time on YouTube at 9 o'clock. Let me see. I'll call you tomorrow about absolutely have a lot of steps. I need a few. Okay, absolutely. Yes, just give me a call. We'll talk about it. Sounds good. Absolutely. And shout out, thank you so much to my clients that are in the room. Thank you all for the people that have supported me, sending me clients. I appreciate that. Thank you. Tamika can reach everybody. Oh, I'm trying to tell you. So shout outs to her. Feel better as well. And so shout out to everybody. Lisa Williams in North Carolina. So I got a lot of love in the room. All right. Shout out to all of you that have told anybody about little old me. You know, so please, please, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. If you're ever on Instagram, stop by there, you know, like and all that good stuff with the videos and pictures and different things of that nature. All right. So I'm hungry. It's time to eat some chicken. So I'm getting... It's time to go. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have learned something concerning charge-offs and, you know, what it takes to get it off, and also with the student loans and the different things of that nature. It's for 5 months, $175. This is your boy signing off. It's going to be amazing. So I'll see you on next week. You all take care of yourself.